All right, hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about the topic of Nikon D5 versus D500 and which one is the better camera. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Eric Marks with FindingMiddle-earth.com, and today we're going to be talking about two cameras. So right now the giants in the Nikon world that everybody's talking about are the Nikon D5 and D500. So they were just released very recently, and the D5 is their flagship camera, which comes in at $6,500 US, and the D500 is their flagship crop sensor camera. And that comes in at just under 2,000 US dollars. So they're very different cameras, but in a lot of ways they're the same as well. So let's talk about this for a second. So first off, if you follow my videos at all, you'll know that I primarily shoot with the Nikon D810. And I love this camera. The autofocus is great. It's got 36 megapixels. It's weather sealed. It's never failed me. I love this camera, especially since I'm a landscape and nature photographer. I love the high resolution. I can get big, beautiful prints out of this. So you can imagine when I saw the D5 and D500 drop, I was more so expecting them to release a D820 or a D900, to kind of be the successor of this. And so, it's weird because I don't really know that I need a D500 or D5. I was trying to decide if I should get one or the other to be my backup camera. I always have to have a second camera. This is the first time in years right now that I've been without one. I had a D800 as a backup to this camera, but it had really bad focusing issues. So luckily it was still under warranty. Nikon repaired it, and then I just sold it off because it never really acted right after that. So I didn't want to chance the D800 to mess up again with the autofocus. I heard that it was a big problem for a lot of people, so I got rid of it. And I was thinking about just getting another Nikon D810. And it's been frustrating, honestly, because I have this money just sitting here ready to buy a second camera, but I don't know which camera to get. I even, thought about, I wonder if I should go with a mirrorless camera for my second body. So I thought about maybe the new Fuji X Pro 2. And so it's just been frustrating waiting for Nikon to release the successor to this. That has the same 36 megapixels, or maybe a 42 megapixel sensor would have been awesome if they would have dropped like the Sony A7R II sensor into something like this. But I don't know. As I'm recording this, CP Plus is going on right now in Japan, I believe is where it's being held. And Nikon's releasing stuff, and Fuji and all these other people are releasing things. So we'll see if they come out with it. But right now we're talking about D5 and D500. So there's a huge price difference between the two. They're both 20 megapixels. They both have the same focusing system, so 153 focus points. And so, the Nikon camera shoots a little faster. They both have a touch screen, which is nice. Of course, they put a touch screen on the D500, an LCD that actually pulls out, so it's a tilty LCD screen. But of course, if you pay $6,500 for the D5, your screen can't do anything. It doesn't tilt, it doesn't flip, it doesn't do anything. I'll never understand why, in this day and age, with the technology where it is, why people, first off, there's a lot of people that don't want the tilty screens, but why manufacturers aren't giving you that feature if you're going to pay almost $7,000 for a camera. It blows my mind. I've shot with the Sony mirrorless systems that have these, tilt-out screens, these flip-out screens, and they're unbelievable. Once you shoot with one, you never want to go back. I wish that my D810 had one of those screens. It's so helpful. So anyway, the new D5, $6,500, does not have the flip-out screen, but the D500 does. D500 shoots at 10 frames per second. Finally, Nikon has come out with a crop sensor camera to compete with Canon's 7D Mark II crop sensor camera. It's always been much easier for people in the Canon world to have a full-frame camera with a complementary crop sensor camera to go along with it, so like one for landscape and one for wildlife and sports. It's like the perfect team. But Nikon's never really had that. other than the D300 and D300S, which are now very old, and they shot at, I believe, 6 frames per second, and then they would do 8 frames per second with the battery grip attached. But that still doesn't come anywhere close to the Canon 7D and 7D Mark II, which are both autofocus machines. They have always had awesome autofocus and great tracking ability and very fast frame rates. So, yeah, so I think the Canon 7D could shoot at 8 frames per second, and the 7D Mark II now shoots at 10. So finally, the D500, they came out with a crop sensor body that has 10 frames per second, killer autofocus. They're saying that the 153 focus points on the D500, because it's a crop sensor camera, they're saying that the focus points actually cover the whole sensor from side to side. So that will actually be really nice if that's true, because then it will actually track really well for people that want to shoot wildlife and sports on that, extra crop factor to get more zoom out of their lenses. So, we'll see how they play in the market. The D5 is going to sell like crazy because Sports Illustrated is going to buy them up and give them to all their photographers, and you're going to see them at every NFL game in the world. I don't know why this always happens. In my opinion, now with the D500, you can achieve the same goal. Sure, you lose a little bit of depth of field. In my opinion, it's not a make or break situation when you're talking about spending $2,000 on a body versus $6,500 body only, and I don't even get the flip out screen. I would think the flip out screen for a sports photographer would be awesome because they could get a really unique angle on certain. I'm not saying they're always going to shoot like this with their camera on the ground, but it would be a very unique angle they could get without having to actually lay on the ground themselves. So D5 versus D500, I would say that most people that aren't doing NFL games are going to go and should go with the D500. I don't think the D5 is worth the money. I really, really don't. I owned a D4 and a D4S, okay? And I only did that because at the time I didn't have the D810. I just had my D800, and I wanted the focus ability of the D4 and D4S. So that's why I went that route, because I at the time I was shooting quite a few wildlife gigs. Some birds of prey and some stuff for conservation stuff. So I had those cameras, and the D4 and D4S were phenomenal in low light, but they weren't worth the money. I would never, ever spend $6,500 on the D5 and feel good about myself at the end of the day. I just couldn't do it. For $6,500, you could get the D500 and like 3 of Nikon's best lenses ever. So if you're trying to decide between the two and you're sitting here considering like selling your car to try to fund the D5, don't do it. I promise you, I've owned most Nikon cameras. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been shooting on Nikon for most of my life as a photographer, going on 13 years. And so I've shot most of their digital cameras, and the D810 is the best I've used so far. D810 is an unbelievable camera. So if you're shooting landscape, architecture, any kind of outdoor photography, get the D810. I promise you'll be happy with it. It's unbelievably sharp. It's a beast. So it can handle anything. You can shoot in the rain. I've done it. It's beautiful. So that's an awesome camera. D500 is going to be awesome for you as well. It looks really rugged. They took out the flash, so there is no flash. There's just it's just magnesium alloy there, and I'm okay with that. I've never once used the flash on my D810, and I don't. Most people don't use if they're not going to spend $3,000 on a camera body and use a pop-up flash, they're going to have external lighting and speed lights. So I think it was great that they took out the flash, because they're claiming that it made it more weather sealed for a cheaper price, and so you're getting $2,000 versus these are around $3,000. But that's 20 megapixels on the D500 versus 36 on the 810. So I'm still waiting around for the D820 or the D900, whatever they choose to do. But I am glad that the D300S, the old D300S, finally had an upgrade to this new D500. Very curious to see how it's going to fare in the market. I can't wait to see if it's going to be everything they say it's going to be for wildlife and sports. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I can assure you that the D5 is not worth it unless you absolutely have to have it based on the company you work for needs, something specific that's in that camera, like 14 frames a second, because, you're shooting something that's, if you miss one frame, it's going to cost your company thousands of dollars. So again, Sports Illustrated, they're probably going to, to buy tons of these and push them out to their photographers for all the football games. It's probably really necessary for people like them. But if you're not shooting NFL games, go with the D500, and you're even going to get, because it's a cropped camera, you're going to get 1.5 extra zoom out of all your lenses. So your 70 to 200, your 300 mil, 400 mil primes, those are going to be perfect for wildlife and sports because they're just going to be extended by 1.5 times on the crop sensor camera. And on top of that, you're going to have 153 focus points, the exact same focus system from the D5 for like $4,000 less. So I hope that this video has helped you somewhat, because I've been kind of going over all this in my head since they came out, and I'm not going to buy either one. I'm going to wait until they release the successor to my precious D810. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I want to get some advice from you guys too. If you think that that someone else should go with the D5 for a specific reason, and that I'm just completely dumb, then tell me. I want to know. So let me know also if you know of any rumors or updated rumors about the D820 or D900. Obviously I followed NikonRumors.com, but this is what I'm really waiting for, and I suggest you do it as well, unless you don't like lots of megapixels, which I don't know how that could be possible in this world of 5K screens and 4K TVs. Megapixels are awesome. You'll say that they aren't until you own one, until you can zoom into like a 3:1 view and see every single eyelash of like a deer, or a person, or headshots, or landscape, or whatever. I mean, literally, I've zoomed in 2:1, 3:1 on Adobe Lightroom on these files, and they're the cleanest files I've ever worked with. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching my videos every week. If you guys want to get notified every single time I release a new video, just click the big subscribe button below and we can get to know each other. You can also check out my blog at findingmiddleearth.com. And if you want to hit me up on social media, all my info is right over here. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.